This is a compound fracture, and it happens when your bone breaks and pierces through the skin. To fix it, a doctor will cut open the skin and start to realign the bones. Once they are back in the correct position, rods and screws are inserted. This keeps them securely in place, stabilizing the structure so the bones remain aligned while they. Your skull has these tiny cracks all over that run along the surface. When you're in the womb, they form in between the skull's separate plates. They're filled with a stretchy tissue that holds the bone together but still lets them move a little. This allows for flexibility during birth and room for your brain to grow. As you get older, the cracks slowly harden and eventually fuse the bones. If your hand is cut off, a bionic arm can help you regain movement by using signals from your muscles. When you think about moving your hand, your muscles send electrical signals. Electrodes on the bionic arm pick up these signals and translate them into movements. The motors inside the arm activate, allowing it to mimic the movements of a real hand. With practice, you can control the bionic arm to perform precise tasks. Have you ever wondered why your knuckles crack? Well, some people think it's the actual bones that are cracking when you do this, but that's not true. You see, in our joints, there's a lubricant called synovial fluid that contains gases. And when you stretch or bend your fingers, you pull the joint apart, creating a negative pressure. This pressure rapidly creates little bubbles of gas, which eventually pop or dissolve. And this process is what produces the signature crack. Would need to have double the amount of vertebrae than normal, and each one would need to be flatter and rounder to twist without snapping. Her arteries would have to be stretchy and doubled up to keep blood flowing even when twisted. Finally, if her neck muscles were strong enough, she could whip her head completely backwards, just like an owl. A dislocated jaw pops out of its normal position at the joint, which sort of disconnects it from the skull. In this position, the jaw hangs awkwardly, making it incredibly painful to move. If it's not too bad, you can bite down on gauze to stabilize the jaw, then carefully push the chin back into place. But in severe cases, you'll need a doctor to essentially rehinge your jaw by forcefully shoving it back into place. If you're really short, a doctor can make a small incision into your thigh and carefully break your femur in half. Then the ends of the broken bone are gradually and slowly separated, at which point a rod is inserted to hold the bones in position. This stimulates the body to grow new bone in the gap, inching you up over time. Soft tissues like muscles and nerves also grow to accommodate the increased length. Once everything has hardened and strengthened, you'll be a taller version of your old self. When a jaw is severely damaged, a surgeon can remove a section of your rib and shape it to match the missing part of the jaw, ensuring it fits perfectly. Then the rib bone is secured in place using screws or plates to stabilize it. Over time, the surrounding tissues and blood vessels grow into the new bone, nourishing it and helping it fuse with the existing jaw. He was born with 3 legs, 4 feet, and 2 sets of genitals. And because it was too risky to remove them, they stayed attached. As he grew up, he became a performer, rising quickly to fame because of his extra limbs. But these limbs actually belonged to the man's unborn twin. You see, when they were in his mother's womb, they failed to separate, and one fetus became attached to the other, leaving him with extra body. If you took out one of your bones and somehow molded it into a chunk about this big, you might think it would be completely crushed under the weight of a car. But human bones are actually made of a tough mix of minerals and a stretchy protein called collagen. And this makes them so strong that a single cubic inch can support the weight of nearly 5 standard cars. If you whip your arm out of the socket and twist it, you could lick your elbow. But for most people, that's not an option. Your arms are too long, your tongue is too short, and your joints just don't bend that far. But about 1% of people can actually do it. And this is because some of them have shorter arms, others have longer tongues, and some are just extremely flexible. He had a problem with his spine that made him bent over for 28 years. To fix it, surgeons broke and realigned his bones step by step. The operations involved cutting through his vertebrae, straightening the spine, and using metal rods and pins to hold everything in place. After months of rehab, he can now stand upright, walk with a frame, and even sleep flat for the first time in decades. If your knee pops back like this, then you probably hyperextended it. This movement puts a lot of pressure on the ligaments in your knee, forcing them to go beyond their range of motion. And if it goes too far, it can actually cause the ligaments to tear. As your body tries to heal, your knee will swell to protect it, making movement difficult. And if it's really bad, a doctor will have to surgically replace the tendon. If your thumb can bend all the way back like this, you might think it's broken. But this flexibility is likely caused by unique traits in the genes responsible for collagen. If you have hitchhiker's thumb, this collagen holding your joint is even more pliable than normal, which allows you to bend the top part of your thumb at an extreme angle. If you took a few bones out of your body, you might think you'd instantly collapse inward, but your skeleton has 206 bones, and most are small and insignificant. You could remove some tiny bones in your ears and the tips of your fingers and still function normally. And if you get rid of your arm and leg bones, your torso would still be somewhat intact. But if you took out your pelvis, spine, and skull, you would no longer have the framework that supports. He had another head growing right on top of his own, one that could blink and smile independently. And this head was actually his twin that didn't fully separate in the womb. It would cry when he laughed and stare blankly when he slept. Now, each head was actually functioning off of their own separate brains. But when he was 4, the boy was bitten by a snake, and both heads passed away together.